Today we're going to be talking about obviously Spider-Man 2, the 19 inches of Venom, and we're going to be talking about some news about Marvel Studios panicking about Kang and where everything goes, and are we pivoting to Doom? Yeah, what'd you think of the game?
I loved it. I had so much fun playing it. I completed the story within I think like 2 days. I was gonna try and pace myself, but I just got so engrossed in it. The story was absolutely phenomenal. Like, this is my favourite version of Spider-Man, without a doubt. Like, it's so far ahead as my favourite version of Spider-Man.
Yeah,
and my favourite Spider-Man universe. That's it.
I think this is the greatest superhero story ever because it doesn't go overboard with the comic book lore. This game's brilliance was the fact that it talked about mental health, substance abuse, and addiction. I love what they do with Mary Jane. This is the version of Mary Jane that we had in the 80s with the comics. This is the version of Mary Jane we deserve currently in the comics.
That might be one of my favourite boss fights in any video game ever.
Hey, what's going on, guys? Welcome to another episode of the Invincibles podcast with the two bros, Zen and Ollie. Today we're going to be talking about obviously Spider-Man 2, the 19 inches of Venom, and we're going to be talking about some news about Marvel Studios panicking about Kang and where everything goes, and are we pivoting to Doom? A lot of really cool stuff, but before we get started on today's episode, we want to recognize and acknowledge the world events that have been taking place for the past couple of weeks, well, really for the past 75 years, and these past couple of weeks, the world has been witnessing the violence that has been going on in Israel and Palestine. And I know what a lot of people are going to say first, so let me get out and say this right now. That way there is no doubt. Sorry about that. That way there is no doubt. We unequivocally, that's the word, unequivocally, we unequivocally denounce anti-Semitism, Judaism hate, and we unequivocally denounce the attack by Hamas on Israeli civilians on October 7th. I just want to put that out there. There is no excuse. You're not going to hear me or Ollie say, oh, well, they had it coming. No, we condemn that. They were civilians. We do not support the murder of civilians. We just want to put that out there. Having said that, we also condemn what Israel has been doing in Palestine for the past 75 years. Ethnic systemic cleansing of the Palestinian people for no other reason other than to just have a cool, nice theme park in the Middle East. That's messed up. That's wrong. It's been happening for 75 years. And we want to, like, again, because you say that and people instantly think you're Adolf Hitler. Okay? We condemn Hamas. I don't like Hamas. Fuck Hamas. Ollie, can you say fuck Hamas? Because I know somebody's going to, yeah, fuck Hamas. We do not condone Hamas, okay? We don't like terrorism. That also applies to what the Israeli government is doing to the Palestinians, okay? So do whatever you guys can. Share as much social media as you can on your social media feeds. Information right now is the only thing that is keeping the little Palestinians that are unscathed alive, for lack of a better term. Share what's going on. Be unafraid of speaking out. Please don't be anti-Semitic when you do it, though. There are people who are using this as an opportunity to hate on Jewish people. There are also a ton of people who are using this opportunity to hurt and kill Muslims, which is what is happening in America right now. So with all that being said, I also want to caveat that by saying, well, why should you care? This is a superhero podcast, right? A comic book podcast. We are fans of superheroes and of comic books because that is a world from which the social issues that cannot be completed in our world can be in that. You feel me? Captain America, Superman, Batman, Spider-Man, Aquaman, hell, even Namor. None of them would support the occupation of what's been going on in the West Bank or in Palestine for the past 75 years. So I just want to put that out there. Our heart is with the Palestinians. Our heart is with everybody affected by this. And we want the violence to end. We are calling for a ceasefire. There is no reason whatsoever for Israel to be blowing up hospitals, bro. I don't want to hear it. And for everybody saying, oh, well, Hamas has tunnels underground. That's been debunked so many times. That has literally been debunked by proving that there were AI pictures utilized by the Israeli government. We can go on and on about it. but I just wanted to take the time to say, yo, guys, chill out. I just wanted to take the time today, those are my cats, to condemn Hamas. We also condemn Israel, and Israel objectively has committed so many war crimes in this world. We just have to acknowledge that, and we just hope that everything can get better through activism, through positivity, and through information that is accurate, by sharing information that is accurate. So with that out the way, and that is never, this has been going on, right, for 75 years. I don't want this to just be a season after 2 weeks people forget about it, right? But with that being said, let's get into today's topics. Let's talk about, my opinion, the greatest superhero story ever told in video game comic ever. The greatest superhero story ever told, Spider-Man 2. You guys already know my my thoughts of the game. But I freaking pre-ordered the game. I got the 19 inches of Venom. I got the steel book and everything. I thought it was perfect, but I've talked for far too long, so I'm gonna give it to you, bro. Why would you do that, Buggy? I'm doing a podcast. It's my cat's guy, sorry. She just ran into the wall. But yeah, what'd you think of the game?
I loved it. I had so much fun playing it. I completed the story within, I think, like 2 days. I was gonna try and pace myself, but I just got so engrossed in it, and I'd had a bit of a shit week that week as well with a few things personally, but so I just wanted to just get engrossed in the game and jump into it, and I enjoyed every single second. Like you said, the story was incredible, but like the gameplay as well was fantastic. Especially, as we'll probably go into more detail later, the symbiote suit. Oh,
Bro.
when you're playing with that and the symbiote powers, it's so satisfying. I just loved so many different things about it, but I do agree with you, the story was absolutely phenomenal. Like, this is my favourite version of Spider-Man, without a doubt. Like, it's so far ahead as my favourite version of Spider-Man.
Yeah.
My favourite Spider-Man universe, let's say.
I think this is the greatest superhero story ever because it doesn't go overboard with the comic book lore. And I know that's crazy saying that because spoilers in 3, 2, 1. They talk about Kraven and the Hunters, but really this game is about the symbiote invasion of the world. And they bring in Donny Cates's Venom run and implying Null and all of that. That is a huge part of this game, which, small caveat, he does deserve a ton of residuals. Donny Cates should be a millionaire off of the sales of that game because that game
Donny Cates is one of the most underrated comic book writers as well.
Yeah.
His comic books are insane.
They have to pay him. He wasn't credited in the game. And for a guy who created Null, who created the Spiral, who gave us the best iteration of Venom in a long, long time, like we have to acknowledge that. So how did he get done? 1 minute. No. All the cats are in the same room, so we're about to see what happens. But... oh, they just left. My other cats just left. Okay, sorry about this, guys. Sorry, Ollie. So yeah, Donny Cates needs to be paid residuals for this game. He needs to. It just has to happen. Okay, that's number one. Okay. Yeah, I know, right? So number two, I think this is the greatest superhero story ever told because this is a game made for adults. And I don't mean in terms of like graphic scenes, although there were some. And I don't mean in terms of like
one in particular.
Yeah. It really took my head off, right? I think this was a game relatable for people in our age range because, for example, I'm here. So like, I was saying this to you, for months, and we've had 3 or 4 episodes talking about this game leading up to this. This game's brilliance was the fact that it talked about mental health, substance abuse, and addiction. So
Mm-hmm.
mental health was represented by the struggles of Peter Parker and Miles Morales being Spider-Man and balancing their lives.
Mm-hmm.
Substance abuse was shown through the pharmaceutical element of medicine, right? Like you talk about how Oscorp used the symbiote without any peer reviewed and potentially created a monster in Venom, very similar to the Oxycontin epidemic in America. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a lot of parallels with that. But I think the biggest thing that I found that was really powerful was the addiction aspect of it. So
Yeah.
a bit of background, guys, and you know this, and I want to be transparent with everybody. I've struggled with addiction. I don't want to make it a tell-all and talk about what specifically, but you know what it is. And I've struggled with it. So I could and it wasn't born out of this party culture lifestyle, right? There was mental, health issues and life circumstances that kind of drove me down a path where I needed to take the edge off. And I could relate to Peter Parker because in this game, he's at a point where even though externally he's happy go lucky, even like when we're playing the character, he seems very positive, right? But internally, right, like through how Martin Lee and Miles explored his psyche, and you see how his brain is just racked with death, villains coming over and over and over. Like I love that one scene where it showed the symbiote suit killing all the villains, and Miles is like, Peter wouldn't think that, and Martin's like, no, but he probably feels that. And I was like, so
Yeah.
how long has Peter really been dealing with self-hate and mental health issues, right? For how long has he really been dealing with this? And we don't really know. So I found like the brilliance of the game was the fact that Peter is at a point where he just can't take it anymore, right? Like being Spider-Man is draining him. Villains keep coming back and back and back. And the last time he saved the city, he lost his aunt. So he was Spider-Man because his Uncle Ben, or he wasn't Spider-Man because he was selfish and Ben died. And then he did the right thing being Spider-Man and then his aunt died. So Peter's in a situation where it's like, bro, I can't win, right? And he
Yeah.
feels that. The only thing going right for him is Miles Morales. He's the only thing going right, okay? He's the only positivity. And in that comes the symbiote who finally offers Peter understanding, power, a way to cope, unhealthily, of course, but a way to cope with the struggles of being Spider-Man. And for a guy who
Yeah.
has lost everything, and it's little things building up. It's not like Sam Raimi where it's like huge events hit Toby's character. It was little things over the years, just building up. Cops beating on him, Kingpin libeling him, J. Jonah Jameson talking trash about him, little things building up over and over and over. He couldn't take it anymore. And much like with my addiction issues, right? I couldn't take it anymore and I went to substances. Peter couldn't take it anymore. And at the worst time possible, the symbiote comes in and is like, I can help you. And thus we
Yeah.
get a fantastic symbiote story, bro. Like, I think it's the greatest superhero story ever because it's the most human one. It takes the Spider-Man
Yeah.
character
Definitely.
stories, places we've never seen, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I'm going to stop talking now. He's telling me I'm talking too much. But I loved it, bro. It was just very adult and real and had so much metaphors and allegories. And for that reason, I think it's the best superhero story ever told.
Yeah. There's a few. I do want to address. I don't know if it's maybe criticisms or things I'd change or I'd like to see changed. Nothing to do with the story. I think the story's perfect, but more to do with like the gameplay and things like that. Like there's in the first two games, you were able to change the time of day, make it night, evening, morning, whatever. Can't do that in this one. It's only a little thing, but I find that slightly annoying when that was in the first two games.
Yes.
The gripes I have are very, very minor.
Yeah.
And my biggest complaint, if that's what you want to call it, is there's not more of it. I just want more because it was so good. I just want
Yeah.
it to be longer. And
Yeah.
hopefully they bring out DLCs, maybe spoilers again, Carnage DLC after what happened at the end of the fire missions.
Mm-hmm.
But apparently they are bringing out New Game Plus and the ability to like replay missions like this month.
Are they also?
So
Do you know if they're going to change the tendrils? Because if you play the black suit and you're having spoilers, the anti-venom symbiote coming up, it's kind of weird. Like, you know.
yeah, I think they should. They definitely should change that.
Hmm.
But I think before we go into details of what happens in the story, what's your favourite suit? Your favourite Peter suit and your favourite Miles suit?
Favorite Miles suit is the 10th anniversary suit. Like you've known that I've spoken about that for 3-4 years. I've been saying they need to add this hoodie suit into the game. Black and pink is such a cold color, combo for Miles. I was playing that suit when the evolved suit came out. I'm not gonna lie, I thought it was fresh. I loved it. The more and more I look at it, I'm not gonna lie, there's a part of me that's like, something is off. Like, I don't think it's the worst suit ever. I don't think it's a suit that deserves the hate on Twitter.
Definitely not.
There is something missing with that suit, though. It's missing that gravitas, excuse me, that the Miles Red and Black suit had. You know, I don't know what it is, but I don't think it's the worst suit in the world. And to be fair, when I first played the game and I was in the final third of the game, I was like, this is hype. So I'm not going to front and say, oh, I hated it. When I first played, I was like, yeah, this is awesome. The more and more I play with it, I'm like, give me the 10th anniversary suit now. But I don't think it's the worst suit in the world. But yeah, no, definitely 10th anniversary, that awesome suit. For Peter, it's got to be the No Way Home suit. It's got to be the new Red.
That's mine. You know, that's mine.
It's got to be. And then number 2, honestly, I would go with the Advanced 2.0. That's fresh. It's crisp.
Oh,
you know,
I love the black and red combination on that one. The suit color combinations as well, by the way, amazing. Such a good option. That so many different versions of a lot of suits. Have you unlocked the a certain yellow and black character's suit yet?
Wolverine, yeah.
I love that one.
Yeah, that suit. I'm fried. When you said that, I was thinking the anti-ox suit. So I was like, yeah,
the red version of the anti-ox suit is very cool.
Yeah.
I think.
No, bro, like that. It's got to be a tease for, hey, get excited for Logan. Even though I don't think the Spider-Men are gonna play a part in that story at all. It might be a simple thing of like Logan is driving down the road, radio, Venom, symbiote invasion stopped by the Spider-Man, like something like that.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
But it's definitely got to be the No Way Home suit for Peter, and it's definitely got to be the 10th anniversary suit for Miles, bro. Like,
I do agree with you on both of them, but I think something that I think maybe could beat the 10th anniversary suit for Miles is the Maximum Carnage suit. The red version of that. Oh, that's so good. Like, you feel like you just look like Carnage when you're playing with it, and it's so sick.
Yeah.
What did you think about Web Wings?
I loved it, bro. Bro, everything about this game was phenomenal. Absolutely phenomenal. The gameplay, let's talk about the gameplay right now since you asked the Web Wings. I loved it. And the Web Wings, there's an element of skill you have to use with that, right? Like, especially when in the wind tunnels, if you time the distance and the location, you can just hop out the web tunnel, hit triangle, and then backflip over and over and just keep web swinging. Like, there's so much combinations that you can do with the web tunnels, and it makes sense architecturally. New York City, there's going to be a lot of web tunnels, or wind tunnels, excuse me. So I loved it. There is nothing that this game did wrong for me, honestly, gameplay wise. My favorite feature was when you combine the web wings after you do the loop-de-loop. So like what I did was I would like slingshot, and then I would loop.
Slingshot was so fire as well.
Yeah. I would and then I would do the loop-de-loop, and then I would just go straight into the wings, and you can just clear so much blocks. And that's how Spider-Man would play. That's how Spider-Man would operate. Like, I loved it. Web Wings, they used Web Wings, and I'm trying not to be that fan, but they used web wings in a way that I wish the MCU did. Like, why would you incorporate web wings in Tom Holland's Spider-Man and then only use it for maybe a combined time of 3 minutes of the entire time he's been in the MCU? He's barely used the web wings. When he used it in Homecoming, it was the same trailer shot. It's Spider-Man versus Vulture. Why would you not have crazy aerial battles with the web wings?
Yeah.
You had the drone thing in Far From Home, which was, I'm not gonna lie, that was a crazy swinging sequence against the drones in London. Why would you not use the web wings? You only use it for the final swing, and then in No Way Home, you use it just on the highway. You don't even use it when you're on the Statue of Liberty battle. Like, there's a lot of missed opportunities, I feel like, for the web wings that, Insomniac was like, we got you guys. And yeah, I just can't say enough good things about the web wings. And the fact that both Peter and Miles had it, like,
Yeah,
I
that
love
was cool.
it. Yeah,
Oh,
absolutely love it.
I love when you're playing with Miles and the Venom powers, like the Venom jump and dash when you're in midair. Oh, combining that with the web wings, you just feel like a beast.
Yeah, like this game, like the first game made you feel like Spider-Man. This game made you feel like Spider-Man at his peak.
Yes, absolutely. And Miles as well, in this universe, he's only been Spider-Man for what? Well, he's only had the powers for about 2 years, is it? Maybe not even that, maybe a year.
Miles Morales is like 3 months after Spider-Man 1, and then Spider-Man 2 is like 10 months after that.
Okay.
So maybe
between between 1 and 2 years. Okay.
Yes. Yeah. And he's already like let's get into that. Let's get into that, bro. You just brought up a cool topic, because I have a feeling everybody who is watching this review has already played the game. So let's just talk about hot topics of the game. Is Miles Morales better than Peter Parker?
In this universe, absolutely. But he couldn't be as good as he is without Peter. He would, I think, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Like, if he had just got these powers, and if Miles became the first Spider-Man, if Peter didn't exist, he won't be as good of a Spider-Man.
Yeah.
But I think that works really well, because that's maybe like, speaking about him like he's a real person, that's what Peter would want. I think he'd want he'd want to make Miles a better Spider-Man than he was.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I think to kind of piggyback off what you're saying, I thought it was very ballsy with the decisions that they made in this game. And one of the biggest decisions that they made in this game was Miles beating Peter one-on-one with the black suit. That, and we can have this debate, bro. Like, I don't know what you think about it, but a lot of people are saying that, yes, Peter was more powerful, but he wasn't focused. He also had a kryptonite weakness of the sound, and he was kind of being taken over by the Venom symbiote. But I would argue, how does that make him weaker?
That makes him stronger, if anything, like physically to defeat.
Yeah, like, because when you start the scene, right, he freaking breaks out of an unbreakable prison cell thing by Kraven, and then nearly murders Kraven. I will say he had a tough time doing it even with the black suit, but that just shows who Kraven is. You know what I mean? Like, that just shows who, by the way, was a boss, but we'll get there in a bit. But to have first of all, that whole sequence of him breaking into the Kraven, like, hunter lair, and him screaming, "Where's Spider-Man?" And the more he keeps screaming it, the more unhinged he gets. Like, he gets like, "Where's Spider-Man?" And like, you hear like the Venom symbiote talk with him. And I didn't have my headset because my cats scratched it out the wire. I had to get a new one. So I was playing it, just on the TV. And from the controller, you were hearing growling from the symbiote.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, this is incredible, dude. You really feel the anger. Like, again, like the symbiote being a metaphor for addiction and how it can, unfortunately, ruin you, right? And I just really love to see how Peter was losing his shit. Sorry for saying that, but losing his stuff. the more and more he's screaming for where's Spider-Man, right? More monsters he gets, and then he finally finds Spider-Man, and then he wants to fight him. And that is brilliant because that shows how much drugs and addiction and negative mental health can take over your life. The same people trying to help you, the same people you love, you end up fighting against. And that's not because of you, that's just a disease of addiction. I just thought that was brilliant. I thought that was so brilliant. Like, I know people who, it's hard to love people in their family who have addiction because, they can come off as super unlovable, and not lovable in terms of who they are, but just like the circumstances that the family is in, like it can be hard. So to see Peter try to legitimately kill Miles under the influence of the symbiote suit, of course, I was like, bro, is this gonna be a Last of Us situation where you play as what's her face, not Abby, I'm forgetting, Ellie, and you end up losing that boss fight even though you win, right? You end up with a cutscene where you're about to die. I thought it was going to end with like Peter brutalizing Miles and then he stops the last minute or something. So I thought the game was ballsy by having Miles beat Peter one-on-one, just straight up. And I think it makes sense because one, Miles learned from Peter. Peter had every reason to be a terrible superhero, to be an unskilled superhero, to be to be fair, he is a mentally, not ill, but like having a lot of mental health issues type of superhero, right? Because of the circumstances that he was grown up in. Versus you look at Miles, he had a loving family, he had a stable home, he had friends, he had a stable school life, he wasn't bullied, and then he gets spider powers, and all he is a kid trying to do the right thing. Again, showing that good and evil isn't necessarily determined by who you are, but also by the environment that you are in. Miles is very much a product of a positive environment, which is why he's such a positive force in the world. I just loved how they do his character. To show Miles just straight up beat his mentor at his worst, one, it's an inverse of Obi-Wan and Anakin, and two, and I love that, and then two, it shows how far he's come from struggling, from running from Rhino, to now beating his mentor fair and square. I think it makes sense because when he learned from Peter, of course he'd be better. Two, he has his powers. You have the bioelectricity, you have the invisibility, on top of the experience that Miles has accrued from the past two games and this game up until that boss fight. Like, like, of course he's going to beat Peter. He's faster, stronger. Like, yes, he's going to beat him. You forget, Peter was bit by a freak genetic spider, right?
Yeah.
Miles was bit by an Oscorp engineered Norman Osborn personally tailored spider. Of course, his powers are going to be more potent. Of course, he's going to be stronger. Of course, he's going to be better. And that's what makes Miles such a beautiful character, because despite that power, he still showed Peter so much mercy and grace in that fight, and he still beat him.
And he also saved Martin Lee, which that moment when he fights Martin Lee and then he just like helps him escape, like that moment sealed it for me. Like, he's the best Spider-Man.
He is the best Spider-Man. To use DC analogies, I don't know if you guys agree with this. I don't know if you agree with this, Ollie, but I would say Peter Parker is more Bruce Wayne and Miles Morales is more Clark Kent.
Oh yes, explain. I like where you're going with that.
Because Bruce has a lot of darkness and rage in his spirit that he overcomes. You know what I mean? Much like Peter in this game. Versus Miles, he does have that darkness and that rage, but he also has this natural desire or this natural instinct of like hope and persevering that was kind of exhausted in Peter in this game, which has been totally understandable because he's been doing this for so long.
10 years at this point.
Yeah, and like how they interact, right? Like Peter was out there fighting supervillains in this game and like dealing with Oscorp and the MLA Foundation and chasing down Kurt Connors and the Hunters, versus Miles was doing a lot of friendly neighborhood stuff. A lot of saving cats out of trees. So, and also when you look at it, right, Peter was hit by tragedy, right? Uncle Ben died. Miles chose to be Spider-Man. It made sense in the fight also because Miles got over, he had the coping mechanism to kind of get over his mental health issues, right? Versus Peter, he didn't have that support system that Miles did. So that is why Miles was able to overcome his darkness with Martin Lee, versus Peter was unable to let go of the influence of the symbiote suit, which is also very beautiful because you can't beat addiction alone. You need help.
Yeah.
And in a lot of universes, Peter is alone. This universe is different. He has his brother Miles Morales to help him. So I really loved it. I thought that their ability to, like I said, just have that ballsy fight, a fight that we would not forget, to have Miles beat the Master in a way that made sense. And also that left no doubt. There was no caveat. People were saying Peter would beat him without the symbiote suit. How? He wouldn't be as fast. He wouldn't be as strong. What, his metal arms and his gadgets are going to beat Miles? Like, come on, man. Like, what are we doing here? Come on, man. Like, Miles outclassed him with his powers. You see the crazy stuff he can do as Miles in this game. It is not a disrespect to Peter Parker's character to say Miles Morales is the better Spider-Man, because like you said, he is better because of the tutelage of Peter. And, you know, in the end of the game, yeah, Peter takes a break. Miles is Spider-Man. Love that, by the way. But let's be real. When Green Goblin shows up,
oh yeah, Peter's gonna come back.
He's gonna come back. And this game, like, a lot of Peter Parker fans are like, oh, this game, Peter needed a lot of help. Well, this is a story about the battle of Peter Parker's soul.
You froze for a bit there. What did you say, sir?
I said this, a lot of people were saying that Peter Parker needed a lot of help in this game. He wasn't as triumphant in the first game. And I'm like, well, yeah, this is the Empire Strikes Back of Spider-Man. Like, you want a memorable story or you want a predictable story? Like,
yeah,
you know? So Peter Parker winning, or you know, having the traditional, you know, stereotypical winning at the end of the day just by himself, it would have felt cheap. It's a darker story.
Yeah.
And I think that him needing help was emblematic. It was ballsy. It's something we can remember. It makes sense character-wise. And Miles has earned the right to be the Spider-Man of New York, right? When Otto comes in, or when Goblin comes in, I imagine Miles is going to be biting off more than he can chew, because this is the greatest Spider-Man villain ever. And Peter's going to come back. And Spider-Man 3, you're going to have your triumphant Peter Parker game.
This might end up being one of the best versions of Spider-Man's best villain ever as well. I think just the way they've built up to him from the first game, like that, when you finally see him as Green Goblin for the first time, that payoff is going to be massive.
Yes, yeah, and especially if they have throwback scenes of maybe Norman Osborn helping out Peter post Uncle Ben's death.
Yeah.
And now Norman is like, you betrayed me. I helped you when you got your uncle killed, and now you betray me. Okay, I'm going to be the Green Goblin. Like, this is brilliant. And also, not dissing the MCU here, but I kind of am. But, like, if you're going to do a Spider-Man story that doesn't talk about Uncle Ben, the Insomniac route is the way to go.
Yes, definitely.
You know, but, yeah, no, I think Miles being the better Spider-Man, it's earned. This is a battle about Peter and Harry overcoming their darkness, and Miles is the friend who's damaged by being in that vicinity, who's drained by seeing the people he loved being overcome by this illness, this sickness, and yet he keeps persevering. That's his character arc. That is a very powerful character arc. That is something that people can relate to. If you watch Euphoria, when Zendaya's going crazy on her mom, and Storm Reed's character is like crying, her little sister's like crying in, you know, in the background because she's witnessing all of this. That's Miles, minus the crying and the stuff he's like helping. But like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I think that Miles Morales has earned it, bro. This game leaves no doubt he is the de facto Spider-Man. And after Spider-Man 3, I imagine he's going to continue being the de facto Spider-Man, you know, until Mary Jane Jr. comes along or whatever.
Well, if they do another sort of mini game in between this one and Spider-Man 3, we just mentioned there about Miles being, you know, the Spider-Man being on his own, Peter's taking a little bit of a break. Miles might have some help from a certain Cindy Moon.
Yeah, man.
That was such a sick way to end the main story.
I know we've
got a few theories we've talked about them over text. Do you think the spider that bit her is the same one that bit Peter, or maybe they've done a bit of a twist and the spider that bit her is the same one that bit Miles?
Honestly, I think Cindy Moon is going to be completely revamped. I don't think there's going to be any similarities to the comics at all.
Really? Okay.
If you look at how the character was created, it is very sexist and sexualized. When Peter and Cindy are around each other, they just get super horny and they start making out and smashing because it's the same spider that bit them. And there's like comic scenes of like Dan Slott writing where, you know, because Cindy Moon, she can make webs out of her fingertips, you know, so she's like completely naked and she webs herself up and she's webbing through New York, and it's giving Mortal Kombat, you know, like Katana's half naked and stuff like that. Like it's kind of like that. Like her character was supremely over sexualized for no reason, but she ended up being cool when they actually got Korean writers, on the character and fleshing her out more, talking about the Spider-Verse totem stuff more. I don't think all that stuff is going to play here. And also Cindy Moon is like what, 15, Miles is 17, Peter is what, 27. It would be, you know, call wee you if they're doing the same story arc with Cindy Moon and Peter. He's an adult, she's a teen, you know what I mean? So like I think they're going to completely revamp it. And I think this video game version of Cindy Moon is going to be the version of the character we should have gotten when Dan Slott created her. No disrespect to Dan Slott. I love his work on Superior Spider-Man.
Big fan of Dan Slott.
Just that character alone, I mean, it's a gross sexualization of Asian women. You know what I mean? Like, so.
Hey, some comic book nerds love that.
Yeah, and they're incels and they're virgins, but like, you know, like it's that, like, you know, I'm sorry, I just have to say it, you know, like,
and they're you fans. I might bleep that so I don't get hate.
But no, I definitely think that Cindy Moon will be and has to be revamped, and I trust them. If you look at Brian Intihar, IGN asked him like, "Hey, you guys made Mary Jane a bit more overpowered," and Brian Intihar was like, "I don't give a shit. Like, she's a capable hero. We want to give respect to the character. We're going to do things our way. If she's a bit more overpowered in a world of Spider-Man, I don't really care." And I was like, I'm sorry, you said what?
Her missions were so fun. Her missions were so fun to do. Like in the first game, I enjoyed them. I thought they were fun, but I thought they were maybe a bit tedious. This game, they were great. I had so much fun doing them. And like there has been so much incel unnecessary hate on it. I saw one guy comment, "Oh, I don't like that she's a reporter. She should have been a model like she was in the comics." Like, that's just boring though. That's just boring. Give her something cool to do, like they have done. Make a cool badass character.
Yeah. I love what they did with Mary Jane in this character, especially the Shriek boss fight. That's like another brilliant thing. That's another brilliant thing about this game. This game is about how underlying thoughts and negative thoughts that you hide eventually come to the surface, right?
Yeah.
So naturally, Peter would have thoughts of Miles isn't as good as me being Spider-Man. I mean, he said that when he got kidnapped, and after, you know, Rio, shout out to Rio Morales, she had no problem yelling at Black Suit Spider-Man. She was like, "You bit my son," you know? And Peter was like, "Okay, sorry." You know, like, but even he was like, "This new Spider-Man can't even stop Craven." I was like, is he talking about himself with the black suit, or is he talking about Miles? And I think that ambiguity was brilliant. It's up to you to determine what you think. And it's natural Peter would like be like, "Yo, when I was your age, I was fighting Kingpin. You can't fight a bunch of, like," you know what I mean? Like, of course, naturally, you know, it's like old man syndrome, you know, like Roy Keane and United players. But you know, also, haha United, we're Liverpool fans here. But
oh yes, we are.
Yeah, but I loved how they really made Mary Jane a capable character, and they really made her compelling, especially in that Shriek boss fight where she's saying, "My dreams have always been second to you. When you're out there saving the city, our relationship deteriorates, and I keep covering and covering and covering, and I don't get so much of a thank you for it." And Peter's like, "Yeah, you're right about that." like he's like, "Yeah, sorry, like, yeah, you're 100%.
Yeah, I messed up.
Yeah, he admitted it. And it was like a lot of couples counseling. I really loved that. It was like a lot of couples counseling in that boss fight. So, I love what they do with Mary Jane. This is the version of Mary Jane that we had in the 80s with the comics. This is the version of Mary Jane we deserve currently in the comics. It's the version of Mary Jane that we should have gotten in the Raimi movies. I love Sam Raimi's movies, but goddamn was Mary Jane trash in those films. And they really did the character a disservice. So this Insomniac version, I love it, you know? And again, like if, oh, she's fighting symbiotes with a sonic gun. I don't care, dude. Like, like we're talking about Spider-Man who can become invisible and have a symbiote, and you're mad about a woman fighting symbiotes. Like, I don't care.
It was fun. It was so fun. It changed the pace a bit as well. You know, even though it's really fun playing as Spider-Man, it's nice to have the break it up a little bit and play as a human.
Especially because that shows you how dangerous the world of Spider-Man really is.
Yes, exactly. It shows you how powerful the symbiotes really are.
Mm-hmm. I love it.
I've got one more thing I want to add about, talking about Miles and Peter and who's more powerful. Peter really, really struggles against Venom in the final boss fight. Like, he gets pushed to his absolute limit.
Yeah.
Miles kind of batters Venom a bit.
Yeah.
Like, Miles kind of, like, actually batters Venom. Like, Venom in his to use, I don't know, a Pokemon term, in his final form.
Yeah. Like,
he's evolved fully.
Yeah. Mega Charizard Venom.
The Venom wings, like when they first came out.
Yeah.
Mate, this is special.
It is.
But yeah, Miles destroys him. Like, Miles really does, like, batter Venom.
And he's not even trying to kill him. Like, he's trying to kill the symbiote.
Yeah.
But he literally tells Harry, "I'm fighting for you." And Harry is like, "Get out of here. You don't even know us." And like, but Miles doesn't need to, like, that's why he's a capable Spider-Man. He loves people.
Mm-hmm.
He loves people in a way that's hard to do. Like, I started crying in the game scene. There's two scenes I started crying really hard. One was when you clear out the nest, right? And Genki and Rio get off of the train, and Genki's like talking about how like he cheated during that one game with Miles, and how like he was supposed to do the homework for Miles and he never did, and he snitched on him. And like Miles is like slowly tearing up, and it's not because he cares about that. It's just more like, I really lost my best friend here. I nearly lost my best friend here. And it was just such a human moment that you just, AI can't do that. Humans do that.
Yeah.
You know? I just loved it. And then the second
moment that go on. No, you go first.
The second scene was when Martin Lee tells Peter, after Peter's like, "You're not coming with me. You've done enough." Martin Lee's like, "You should be proud of Miles. He reminds me of you."
Yeah.
If he's not a capable Spider-Man, I don't know who is. Miles is the de facto Spider-Man, bro. He has the heart of it. He has the respect of his villains. He has the powers, and he doesn't give up. And he has a heart of gold. I would love to see a story, however, where Miles is pushed to the absolute ringer, because yeah, his dad died and stuff, and his revenge and stuff, but he's also young. Miles does, I will say that, he does benefit from not having years of trauma that Peter does. He does benefit from that. So I would love to see an adult Miles go up against his absolute limit and see how he fares. I think that would be really cool to see.
I think a way you do that, we've kind of mentioned this, maybe Green Goblin kills Rio.
Yeah. I mean,
and that pushes him to his limits. He's like, that she's all like all the family. Well, he's got his uncle, but him and his uncle, their relationship's a bit strained. But yeah, like, imagine
she's running for mayor. He wants re-election. He kills her. And then as a mayor candidate, like you said, this was your idea. You said,
yes, he kills her because she's his competition. And then as mayor, he's like, he vows to find out who did it and stop the Green Goblin, when actually he's the Green Goblin.
Hey, Insomniac, Ollie's cooking. Hire him,
Yes, hire me and pay me.
Yeah.
Please.
Yeah.
Please. I need to buy a house and pay for a car and pay for a wedding, please.
Yeah, bro, money is tight out here, man. But I love like where they put the character. They really propped up Miles. They really developed Peter, and it doesn't feel in a way that is self-detracting, right? You're not tearing down Peter to improve Miles. This game,
Yeah.
everybody shined. I just can't say enough good stuff. But yeah, that scene where Martin Lee is like, he reminds me of you. Do you realize how powerful that is to say? He reminds me of you. If he's not Spider-Man, I don't know who is. Like, Miles is...
He is the Spider-Man now.
He is
like,
the Spider-Man.
When I think of Spider-Man now, I think of Miles.
Yeah. Yeah. And he's earned it.
Yeah.
He's earned it. I don't ever want anybody to say, oh, Miles isn't a real Spider-Man. Like, bro, he washed Venom. And it made sense because, one, the bioelectricity, and two, if you think about it, the Venom symbiote actually wanted to work with Peter. It kept saying, come back to us, Peter. We need your help, Pete, when he was with Harry, the symbiote. But earlier, it just kept trying to go to Peter. And then when it was on Peter, it was telling him everything he wanted to hear. Like, no, Craven, like stuff like that. It was telling him everything he wanted to hear. And it from the symbiote's perspective, it was being a good friend. Right?
Yeah.
So, but, right, like the thing about Venom's character is, he's not evil, he just hates Spider-Man. And this game kind of follows that, because in his head, he's not evil, he doesn't want to kill people, he wants to heal the world. But he hates Spider-Man, and he doesn't hate Peter Parker Spider-Man, he hates Miles Morales Spider-Man, because Miles got in between Harry and Peter, according to that. So I thought that made brilliant sense. It was just so cheeky, haha, you know, much like them fighting on the football field from Ultimate Spider-Man. It was just so well done. Like, I loved how Venom was like, we want to work with Peter, but I hate Miles Morales. I hate him. You know, like, I thought, I just love it, bro. It's in that final boss fight, like every time Venom tried to fly up, I would just L1 and triangle, you know, when Miles is like bouncing, and I would just spam the crap out of that and piss Venom off so bad. Like, the Venom boss fight when I was Peter, it took me quite a bit because I was playing on Spectacular. I died like, I would say 15, 16 times. I'm not even joking. Miles, I didn't die once. And that's testament to just how powerful and how able and how potent his abilities are. Like, Miles, again, it makes sense. He was bit by an engineered Oscorp spider. He's going to be the stronger Spider-Man. It's just going to happen.
I think that entire final boss fight, you know, like Peter fighting him on the football field, then Miles fighting him, that might be one of my favourite boss fights in any video game ever.
Yeah.
Like, it's definitely up. Yeah, I'd probably have to, you know, make a list of like my top 3, top 5, whatever, but it's probably my top 3.
I definitely think this boss fight tops, is going to be a hot take, it tops Kratos, Freya, and Atreus versus Odin. It tops that. It tops that.
That's a big statement.
I don't think it tops Thor versus Kratos though, because that boss fight was so personal.
Insane.
That
boss like, you die and then he brings you back and he's like, no, not yet.
Yeah, like that. And even the second one, when they're fighting the second time, where Thor is like, I'm tired of you and your stupid family. Like, I could really feel the frustration in Thor's voice. Like, I'm like, bro, he's really sick of Kratos. I love it.
Yeah.
That boss fight's different. And the reason why I say that whole sequence, I would say, is a bit above the final one, simply because as much as I love Miles, it didn't make too much sense why he was the last one to fight Venom. I think it would have made more sense if Peter was the one who ended up being the last person to face Venom, because that's his best friend. However, this game is realistic, right? Peter's going to the ringer. He's not going to be 100% against Harry mentally. So it fits. It makes sense. Maybe it would be more predictable if Peter fought him last. Sure. I'll have to do New Game Plus and get back to you on my thoughts on that. But,
you know, I like it. I think it's kind of a passing of the torch moment. I think it's like saying, like, this is the new Spider-Man. You know, this is the guy going forward, not just in this game universe, but I think in the whole Spider-Man sort of franchise. They're putting the Spider-Man name on Miles Morales fully now. I think that's what maybe why they did that.
Yeah, and Yeah, I mean, you say that, and I guess in hindsight, the symbiotes would really hate Miles, right? Because he's the Spider-Man that fried them all. You know,
Mm-hmm.
so if symbiotes come back to Earth, like Carnage, whatever, they're definitely gunning for Miles because Peter's got the anti-venom symbiote. He's good, you know. And
Yeah.
let's talk about that. Let's talk about that, bro. That moment was the biggest shock to me in this entire game. That moment,
I did not see that coming.
when that was a spoiler level of like Kratos pulling out the chains of Olympus and God of War, or Thanos snapping, or you know, I don't know what's another crazy, like Luke Skywalker, I am your father. Like when Peter had, because I thought when Martin Lee, and I did not see it coming, bro. I did not see that coming. I thought they were just clearing out the symbiote and that's it. And I was at a point
Yeah.
where it's like, we had the symbiote, we don't have it anymore. Is the game kind of redundant now? And then you have anti-venom, and I'm like, okay, this is the perfect game ever. We can use the symbiote permanently. This Spider-Man has symbiote powers permanently without being corrupted. This is the strongest version of Peter Parker ever.
Yeah.
Ever. Bro, like anti-venom and that whole scene, because like I thought they were screwed. You have like it was giving I Am Legend. It was very I Am Legend, like all the symbiotes are coming, you know, like zombies. Martin Lee doesn't have his powers right now. Miles is like, Spider-Man, get up. Spider-Man, get up. Spider-Man, get up. And then Peter wakes up, he flips over. I'm like, well, what is Peter gonna do? Like, okay. Then he gets the anti-venom symbiote, and I was like, they must have had to plan this out at the inception of Insomniac Games' rights to make Spider-Man, to make Martin Lee a character in the first game,
Yeah.
to have him in the first game a major villain and have a redemption arc that plays into new gameplay abilities for Peter. They brilliant storytelling, fantastic storytelling. AI can't do that. AI cannot do that. So I think that the anti-venom symbiote to me is what put the game over the top in a good way, and to me is the perfect video game ever, the best superhero story ever. That anti-venom moment, Ollie, I'm telling you, he flips up the white symbiote. I was like, oh my god, anti-venom. And then he becomes anti-venom, and I was like, it's over for you guys. It's over for you symbiotes. Bring over that big fat, you know, Bronson Reed symbiote. Like, bring him over. Like let's go. Like, I'm about to wash all of you. And it was satisfying, especially the symbiote Tempest move. Bro.
Yes.
Like everything. And then the dialogue in that scene when he calls Miles, he's like, what is this? And Miles is like, you know, me and Martin, you know, helped you out. He's like, you work with Martin? He's like, yeah, I wasn't gonna let you die. And then Peter really is like, I don't deserve this kid. Which again is testament to why Miles is the perfect Spider-Man, because he has the heart for it. He didn't forgive the murder of his father, but he let go of his hate. Do you know how hard that is? He let go of his hate to save Peter. He is Spider-Man. So like, Miles is Spider-Man, bro. So that whole anti-venom arc was fantastic, and I just can't say enough to the testament of how creative that is by Insomniac. We were all under the impression that they were just gonna give you the suit anyway, for no non-canon reason, and you're just playing and you forgive it because you're you know, it's a game. You know, you're playing the game. For them to make an end canon universe to continue using those symbiote moves, bro. Like, Insomniac Peter Parker beats every other version of Peter Parker, dude.
Yes. 100%.
It's not even close. So that anti-venom moment, and it was just so epic, dude. Like, you're just clearing house. Like,
so yeah, like it makes him so powerful, but like it's literally so clever. It makes him at his most powerful, but like he's not being corrupted, and also he has a badass suit to go with it. Like that white anti-venom suit is clean. Like, yeah, big fan of that.
I didn't change out of that suit until after I beat the story. I was like, you know, then let me use the TASM suit, let me use the No Way Home suit. but that anti-venom suit is so clean.
Mm-hmm. I love when like you're wearing like a different suit, and then you click L3 and R3,
Mm-hmm.
and then the suit just comes up over you, and you know, yeah.
I love it. Yeah, the rage mode by the anti-venom suit. Oh man, it is so cool. Like it is so cool. Like man, we can't say enough good things about this game. Like it's so good. It is so good.
Mm-hmm. There is something I've remembered that I want to say before I forget.
Yeah.
When you're on about moments that made you cry, there's one moment in particular that made me cry. The Howard side mission.
I still haven't played it.
Do you know what happens?
No.
Okay, I won't tell you. I won't tell you. But once we get off this, you have to do that side mission,
Okay.
mate. It is so unbelievably good.
Okay. But if we're talking side missions, let's talk about that side mission. Let's talk about the side
one that
mission.
sets up, you know, maybe DLC, or is it too big for DLC? Is that too big for it? Like,
so Carnage is in the game. I mean, the symbiote is in the game, but Carnage is in the game. Cletus Cassidy is the leader of the Flame. Yeah. I was shook. I was like,
yeah.
And I thought the final third of the game of this game was going to be Carnage. So for them to really make Venom the final act and make him so menacing and evil as he was, like, shout out to Insomniac. They didn't do a fan theory story. They did the best story. Shout out to Insomniac. But in terms of DLC, I mean, bro, what do you think it's going to be? Because I don't see how you can have Carnage, Otto, and Green Goblin and a narrative that makes sense that combines the stories of Peter Parker, Miles, and now Cindy Moon. I just feel like it's doing too much.
I'd love it to be Carnage in the DLC, but I've also have you done the all the like the Craven drones yet?
Yeah.
So all the Chameleon stuff. Yeah. I think the DLC could be Chameleon.
So like
possibly, because he's obviously he's a classic Spider-Man villain, but he's a bit lower down than Carnage. Yeah. And the first game had Hammerhead.
Yeah.
He's not on the same level as Carnage as a villain. So
the DLC in the first game sucked, dude. It was so bad.
Yeah.
It was bad. They really shelved it in, which no disrespect to Insomniac, they made a great game. I'm not gonna hate on them. But yeah, the DLC could have been so much better. It could have been so much better. But this DLC, here's what I think is here's my wish list, and then I'll tell you what I think is likely going to happen. So I think there's going to be 3 episodes again, similar to how The City That Never Sleeps had 3, DLC like type of episode type deals. So I think it'll be similar. One has to deal with Carnage. I think that you potentially have the Fantastic Four. I wouldn't put my money on it because this is a spider-centric universe. And a quick caveat, a lot of people are like, where are the Avengers? I actually love the fact that the Avengers are fucking useless in this universe, because the fact of the matter is we live in the MCU where the Avengers are everywhere and they supersede every brand, every character, every IP to where it's diluted. I think it is a fresh change of pace to show 2 Spider-Men stop an alien invasion without the need of the Avengers. Because isn't that what we want to see out of the MCU Spider-Man brand? A Spider-Man that is a Spider-Man that solves stuff on his own. You know what I'm saying? And doesn't need help. Doesn't need the Avengers. Doesn't need other characters to come into his story all the time. It's just him and his universe. Isn't that what we've been wanting? Insomniac now gave that to us. Why are we complaining about Avengers? In fact, I never want to see the Avengers in the Logan game or in any Spider-Man game. I don't want to see them.
Oh, same. Yeah, same.
So, anyway, I was saying,
DLC.
Yeah, I think likely Fantastic Four. I think if I had to pick
the Fantastic Four building, Baxter Building's in the game.
Yeah. Daredevil. Matt has to be in the DLC. if Matt is
Oh, have you seen they updated the sign on the Nelson Murdoch thing?
Yeah, so it's gotta be. If he's not in it, it's not like the end of the world. But in the perfect world, I would love them to continue Carnage, have Daredevil be a major part of the DLC. It would be so cool if you played him. It would be so cool if you played him.
Yeah.
I don't see that happening. I said I don't see that happening. Playing as Daredevil.
Playing as Daredevil.
I get it because he's.
Oh.
I was like, bro, oh God, I'm not trying to get canceled here, bro. We love blind people. We love blind people, bro. Like, I don't know any blind people. I'm sure we have blind listeners. I love blind people.
I hope we have blind listeners. We don't have many. If some of them are blind, we're doing well.
Yeah, like
for the diversity quota.
Yeah. But I don't. Yeah, I love you're shouting out Jessica Jones. She said that to Matt and the Defenders. Like, are you the diversity hire? But anyway, I don't see them playing Daredevil because I think something as huge as that, honestly, you would probably save for Spider-Man 3. You know. So,
yeah.
But I think realistically, it's going to be Carnage. It's going to continue with Chameleon, and maybe a Fantastic Four, maybe a Daredevil. I think most likely we're going to see Wolverine.
I hope so.
We're going to see Wolverine. I think that's what the DLC is going to be. But if I don't, I'd love it.
I'm just trying to find here that like when the DLC for the first game was announced. The DLC for the first game was actually announced before the actual game even released. And then the first DLC came out about a month after the game. Maybe the reason they're holding off on announcing it for this one or whatever is because it is Carnage and they're waiting for enough people to have played the game that they can announce it and it's not a spoiler. Because if they announce it right now, it's a big spoiler.
Yeah.
They want to wait till enough people have played it, done that mission, they know what's happened, then they can announce it. That's maybe why it's taking a little bit longer this time.
That makes sense, and that's probably what it is, because Insomniac does prioritize story over anything. So that's probably it.
Yeah.
That's probably it. But if Carnage is in the DLC, do you think they should be ballsy and make it a rated R DLC?
Oh.
Because Arkham Knight was rated M, right? But it was more because of just how dark and intense it was, not because it was gory and all of that, right? And it didn't kill sales. People still bought it. It was still the highest selling Batman game ever, if I'm not mistaken. Why not for Spider-Man?
I'd love to see them go for it. I don't know. I don't think they will.
Do they need to?
I don't think they need to. I think Venom was brutal enough in this one without that. So, yeah, no, I don't think they necessarily need to.
Okay. Because Cletus Cassidy has to be the hardest boss fight we've played at this point, right? So it'd be cool to see. Now, in this DLC, we get to play as Peter, obviously, Miles. Would it be too soon to have Cindy Moon be a little bit playable in this DLC?
Possibly something similar to like in the first game you could play as Miles but without his powers.
Yeah.
We don't know if Cindy's got if she's got powers by this point, but yeah, something like that maybe would be cool.
I don't know. Let's talk about that. Like, I don't know how Cindy gets her powers. And again, like, because in the comics, it was very sexualized and there was like a web of destiny. Ezekiel Moreland was a big part of her character. There's no multiversal shenanigans in Insomniac verse. So let's say Insomniac hires you to be their storyboarder, whatever. You're writing the beat sheet, you're writing the story. How do you envision Cindy Moon getting her powers in a way that fits the story?
Well, first of all, I want to say I think I'm looking forward to whatever happens with it because, like you said, Insomniac prioritized story.
Yeah.
My initial thought, like I said to you, was because she's so much younger than Peter, maybe she did get bit by the same spider that bit Miles. But then, how would they write her into that situation? Maybe because, like you said in our conversation we had over text when we were playing the game, the spider after it bit Miles just swatted it like on his wrist and it died.
Yeah.
So the possibility there is maybe it bit Cindy first.
Okay.
But then if she got bit when Miles got bit, she would have probably shown that she's got powers by this point, or maybe not because she doesn't know any spider people. But what I'd like is sort of like what you mentioned, for it to just be new, for it to be completely different from the comics, and maybe she's a bit of a troublemaker. Maybe she sneaks into Oscorp for, I don't know, maybe she not for any reason like to find anything scientific. Maybe just to cause trouble, to vandalize something, to try and steal something and sell it.
Yeah.
Maybe she's a bit of a troublemaker like that. And then she ends up breaking into the wrong room, gets bit by a spider. I think something like that would be cool.
Yeah, because it can't be connected to Peter and Miles because the spider, like, it can't be like literally the same spider. Because I know it's the same spider that bit Peter, like that bit Cindy. But how do you have different power sets then? Know what I mean? So it's like it's got to be a different spider. It has to be a way that makes sense. I do think that having Cindy have her powers in this DLC is way too soon. And I commend Insomniac for not going the Spider-Gwen route. Thank God. I am so sick of Spider-Gwen. Also, hot take. She was a horrible friend in Across the Spider-Verse. Spider-Gwen sucked. Spider-Gwen betrayed Miles. Spider-Gwen sucks. I hate Spider-Gwen. Like, right now.
I don't think that's a hot take.
Yeah, right now. And when she redeems herself, then me and Spider-Gwen will be cool. But until then, you did my man Miles so dirty in Across the Spider-Verse. I don't want to see Spider-Gwen. So I'm so happy they're going Cindy Moon, thank God. And making her and Miles step-siblings. I love that because you would have to be a pervert to sexualize the character now. Like, they knew what they were doing.
They're completely taking that out of the equation. Like, that can't happen.
Yeah, like I love that. Like I said, they really love their characters. I don't know how. It would be really cool if they went mystical with Cindy Moon. Like, maybe something from Korea. Like, maybe a genie or something. I know that's not Korean, but like maybe something related to her heritage or culture gives her powers. I don't know what they do. Regardless, what it's going to be brilliant. But I think the more important question is how, one, do you think Cindy Moon will play? Because Peter playing as Peter is awesome. And now with the anti-venom symbiote permanently, oh my God, the combos are so insane, right? Combined gadgets, web swinging, the symbiote. And then you have Miles' new bioelectric powers, right? How do you beat that? How do you... I have a solution.
I don't think you need to beat it. I think it just needs to be something different, maybe. Or it doesn't need to be, because like Peter and Miles are so amazing.
Yeah.
She doesn't need to top that. We already have amazing stuff. She can just be great.
Here's the way they can top that. Literally Green Lantern it. Make web constructs similar to Shattered Dimensions, where, you know, the Neil Patrick Harris Spider-Man, he has a web fist, he has a web, like shield, all of that stuff. Web constructs, right? Web kick of giant web.
That would be cool.
Cindy Moon's whole power base is being much better at web threading than any of the other spiders, right? So that's
why she's called Silk.
Yeah, so just go crazy with it. Make her play similar to that Shattered Dimension Spider-Man. Can you imagine the gameplay trailer? Silk just having a massive web fist, just punching people, and then web exploding everywhere, and then webbing to each other, and just really sticking on everyone over and over. And then another thing you could do gameplay-wise with Cindy Moon Because gameplay-wise, Spider-Man 2, how do you top Spider-Man 2? This game is perfect. How do you top that? You bring in wall-crawling combat. You bring in the Web of Shadows wall-crawling combat. And Cindy Moon's web powers would go perfectly with that gameplay dynamic. Perfectly. So that's how you do it. But in terms of narrative, I'm lost. I don't know how she fits in this story.
I am confident that they'll pull it out of the bag because, like you said, they prioritize story. I do have a question for you about Cindy Moon, though, because your knowledge of the comics is far, far more extensive than mine.
Appreciate it.
Her dad, what is it, Albert Moon?
Yeah.
Does he have any significance in the comics? Like, what's he about?
She was missing for a long time, and so Albert and his wife were trying to find her. Because she was bit by the spider, and then Ezekiel had her hidden underground to protect her from Moreland, like killing her and stuff.
Oh, right, okay.
So her character, I'm not gonna lie to you, I'm not gonna cap. My knowledge that I'm just spewing right now is Wikipedia. I didn't read Cindy Moon. I'm not gonna lie to you. The only thing I read about Cindy Moon was the initial comic, and I'm like, bro, she's literally created as a porn fantasy. This is disgusting. I had a hard time reading the original character run. I know they have done a ton in the comics now to fix that. I just don't want to lie to you and pretend like I know so much about the Cindy Moon character when I really don't. Like, I don't. I just know her power sets. That's it. But I want to know more. And I guess this is a homework assignment for us to read more Cindy Moon stuff, because she's about to be
I want to now.
She's about to be a huge IP character in the Spider-Man brand. So
yeah, because the TV series is still happening, isn't it?
I believe so. Yes, yeah, and Amazon. Yeah, the guys who wrote The Boys is writing this. Yeah.
Oh, that's gonna be brilliant.
Yeah.
Like we're gonna see maybe a bit of a surge in popularity for her, like we've seen for Miles over the past 5-6 years.
Yeah, that
would be very cool to see.
How do you? So, like, at the end of Spider-Man 3, like, let's go back to the end of this saga, right? Which is going to be so sad to think about. I think the perfect way to do Spider-Man 3, and I'm just talking playable heroes, I don't even know the villains yet. Maybe Otto, maybe Goblin, and then I'm at a loss for words. And that in itself doesn't seem interesting, because a revenge story on Otto and then Green Goblin we've seen before. This is a hot take, as much of a diehard.
But we've not seen Insomniac do it.
True, but I've just seen Green Goblin so many times, I just don't care about the villain anymore. Like, give me somebody new. Like, out of the OG.
Oh, but he's the GOAT. He's the GOAT.
Yes, he is. Don't get me wrong, but I've just seen him so many times. Like, I can't eat chicken biryani every day. I need some nehari. I need some pulao. You know what I mean? Like, same thing here. Green Goblin has been done so many times. Like, that's why Venom, out of Otto, Eddie, and Norman, Venom is my favorite out of them. So this game, to me, is the perfect Spider-Man experience. So going to Spider-Man 3, it's like, I don't know how to top that. But what I will say regarding the villains, or regarding the heroes, how do you make Spider-Man 3 as epic as possible? One, you have a massive time jump, because we need Mayday Parker to be playable in Spider-Man 3. We need Mayday Parker. We need Mayday Parker, because I think it is beautiful to have a struggling Peter Parker be the reason why New York is flooded with the most elite crime-fighting spider force ever. You know what I mean? So, like, you have Peter Parker playable, Mayday Parker playable. So maybe she's 10 years old or something. Mayday Parker playable.
10 years old?
Yeah, bro.
That big of a time jump?
Spider-Man 3 has to be ballsy. And ballsy, right? So I would have, and you could really play with the desperation of Otto Octavius, because in 10 years, how much has his body deteriorated? You know, how has Norman coped in 10 years? Miles is an adult now. How is his character? Like, there's so much ways you can take it, right? So I would have a massive time jump, so you can play as Mayday Parker. Okay, you have Peter Parker, Mayday Parker, Miles Morales, Silk, And then I would bring back Venom as a hero, but I don't know who the host is, because I think bringing Flash Thompson in the third game is a bit too much, because Flash hasn't showed up in the other games.
Yeah, that's
So
it.
to have Harry potentially be the person who at one point was infected by the symbiote to now teach the symbiote to be better and to be heroic, I would love that.
Oh yeah,
I would love that.
that would be very
Because
good.
my theory at the end
Yeah.
of Spider-Man 2 is, yeah, Harry's comatose, but I feel like Peter cured him of his disease through the anti-venom symbiote.
Ah, yes, I'd like
So
that.
he's comatose, but his body is fine. So maybe he wakes up, he gets
Mhm.
back with the venom symbiote somehow, some way. Maybe at the end of this DLC with Carnage, we find a retcon or something. I don't know, you know? And then, because him being Agent Venom was awesome, you know, bring back Agent Venom, and then when he hulks out, so to speak, he can be the Beast Venom that we all know. So yeah, that I would have Peter Parker, Mayday Parker, Miles Morales, Cindy Moon, Harry Osborn, all playable, all be major parts of the story against Green Goblin. And I think that's fair, because now you're doing something different. How dangerous is this Green Goblin to have 5 spider pals? You know what I mean? Up against him. And I think it brings an Incredibles dynamic to it, right? Like Mr. Incredible, Dash, Violet, like now you have that with Mayday Parker learning from the GOAT Peter Parker, the official GOAT Miles Morales, the new GOAT Cindy Moon, and then the badass GOAT who ripped off Kraven's head, Harry Osborn. Like, you're learning from all of them. Like, Mayday Parker is going to be the greatest spider person ever, which she should. She should.
yeah.
Like, Mayday, like, I love Miles, but I do agree each spider person should be better than the last. So I think it is
Definitely.
it is a full circle moment. Like, it's like Avatar Last Airbender. You have Peter Parker, Miles, Cindy, Mayday. It fits.
Mhm.
It fits. I'm so excited. I'm so excited, bro. I'm so excited. That's what I would do for Spider-Man 3. But let me ask you this. Who are the villains in Spider-Man 3, and what, I guess, would you say is the central theme of Spider-Man 3, right? Because Spider-Man 2 had to deal with mental health and substance abuse. What is the gimmick of 3?
The main villains, I think, we've touched on it. It's got to be Green Goblin and Doc Ock. As was teased in this game, I'd love to see Chameleon. I think Insomniac does a good job with, like, I don't want to like say B level villains, but like the lower, not the big villains. Yeah. I like what they do with them. They make them interesting. They make them look like they fit the universe really well as well. So maybe something with Chameleon, because that was teased. Maybe maybe they'll do this in like a Miles Morales type game, like a smaller game in between. But like they have teased stuff with Daredevil, like we have mentioned that. The hand, I think, are referenced in this game. In like, it's like you can go and see what might be their hideout. So maybe that'll be in the DLC, or maybe that's in that game. Don't know. But I think them two, like Doc Ock and Green Goblin, for the big two villains. Chameleon and the Hand for maybe the lower level villains. Who else I like to see?
Screwball. Bro, it's canon. Kraven murdered her, bro. I'm so sad.
It's that's maybe something that I have a little gripe with. Like, apparently Kraven killed a lot of people, but we just don't see it.
I actually like that. And here's why.
Yeah.
Because less is more. Right? If you're in the ocean.
True, but like they don't reference it though. Like,
well, I
don't even like.
I think so. Okay. So when he killed Scorpion, I was like, Scorpion is arguably the most dangerous out of the 6, minus Lee and Otto, right? So if he killed him, everybody else is dead. and you hear that through the voice
That's a good point.
recording. Yeah, I think less is more because it's like the way he describes they're pathetic, they're this or that. It's like, bro, you didn't just kill them, like you mauled them, you butchered them, they died
Yeah,
screaming.
hunted them, caught them, butchered them. Yeah,
Yeah, like they were probably scared. They were probably begging, like, "Yo, Spider-Man, please, please come and talk trash to me. Please save me." How horrifying is it that the villains that hated Spider-Man so long ended up dying begging for him? So I like that. I thought less was more, and I thought the narrative was still around because I think the heartbeat and the soul of this game is about relationships, and the relationship between Peter and Miles that was the story of this game, right?
Yeah.
Anything that kind of delineates from that could have potentially diluted from that. However,
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, that's a good point.
I don't see why we couldn't have seen more of scenes like Scorpion and stuff like that. And I have a huge reason why that was not the case, because there was a deadline. They were on crunch. Like a lot of people who are saying like, "Oh, Daredevil's back in the game now." Are they teasing something? I honestly felt like the game was not as complete as they wanted it to be. So they're just updating the game through updates with finishes that would have been in the final product to begin with. So for example, the TASM 2 suit, when it first came out, that shit was awful. That was not a one-to-one recreation. That was not good. The next day, it was perfect. There are blocks in the city that were redone. So I really do think they were just editing the game as it was coming along, which, again, is why we need a strike for the video game industry as well. And you know, treat these people better, obviously, because I'm sure Insomniac is a great organization and everything like that. Brian Intihar, like, you know, he seems like a stand-up guy and everything like that, but it's not necessarily the organizations that need to be struck from as well. It's the industry practices, right? Insomniac
absolutely
may have to do some practices that'll keep them in business because other competitors are doing that, you know? So I think that I think it fits. But I do think that a big reason why we didn't see more of those scenes is because they were trying to get the game out by October 21st. Yeah, they were trying to get the game out by then.
Yeah.
So they're probably cut corners where they could. And like another thing, right? Like when you are stopping like car chases, why can't you you know, like spam square to stop it, you know, anymore? And why is there not a follow-up? There's not a follow-up van with villains when you stop the car. So I do think there's a lot of cutting corners. Like they had to prioritize the narrative and prioritize the gameplay. Other stuff had to be cut.
Yeah. And they doubled the map size as well, which is a big task.
Yeah. And I don't know why fans are complaining about that, bro. You have the best traversal ever. Like, relax. This game was awesome. So, I don't know. Like,
should we wrap things up by talking about the Marvel Cinematic Universe news that's on everyone's lips at the moment?
Yeah, let's do that, bro. So I want to preface this by saying, like, we love Marvel characters, and growing up, we all loved the MCU, but we are in the post Steven Gerrard era of the Marvel universe, so to speak, bro.
I like that. I like that analogy.
We're in the Brendan Rodgers era, except there's no great character. There's no great character, bro. There's no great character going on here. Literally, like the Marvels is coming out. I'm not gonna see that. I'm not gonna see. I should see that.
Yeah,
I should see that because I'm Pakistani, bro. I should be out there supporting Iman Vellani, but I can't. I can't support that film, not because I stand for anything or anything like that, but because that movie sucks. It doesn't look good. I am tired of comedy happening in one-liners in between combat. I am tired of treating the audience like they're idiots. Like, notice how the characters act like androids. They act less like people, and they act more like props to set up the scene. So like Carol Danvers says, "I don't like being called the Annihilator," and then punches him looking angry. Instead of making it perfectly crystal clear, like horrible dialogue, bro. Instead of doing that, you could maybe have just a nuanced scene where she just looks at him. You can see the rage in her eyes. You can tell she doesn't like being called that. She doesn't like being called
Yeah.
that, right? You don't need to make stuff so obvious, bro. And I feel like because the MCU is such a financial success, you have to cater to the general audience to do that. The general audience member isn't that smart. So maybe you have to dumb it down. But I'm
I'm just sick of the formula. It's just the same formula all the time, and it's just not interesting anymore.
it's like when how do I give an analogy? Like when white people make Mexican food and you eat it and it sucks. There ain't no spirit in this, bro. It's the same thing. It's the same thing here, bro. There's no
Is that aimed at me?
No, well, bro, no, because you come over here, we're gonna feed you right, bro. You're gonna be coming over here. When you come over here, bro. Also, I have 3 cats, so you're definitely gonna be cat sitting, and we're gonna be chilling. But there's so much good stuff. You're gonna be here for like a while, 2 weeks, so right, it's gonna be a great time, man. Very excited. Invincibles, tune in. We're gonna be doing live streams and stuff, and instead of being overseas, Ollie will be sitting right here, like, oh, not in my lap, but like here. I mean, you can if you want, but Nicole might be mad at you.
Oh.
But Nicole might be mad at you. But like, like right here, But anyway, I'm saying a lot of the Marvel formula sucks, and you can really see the disconnect of the audience and the filmmaker executives when they thought that Ant-Man Quantumania was going to be a success, a mass success. For them to be shocked by the reaction, I'm like, they're out of touch. They've been drunk with success.
So out of touch.
This is the David Moyes era of United. This is the Brendan Rodgers era without character. Bro, minor spoiler for Loki. They're implying that Tom Holland's Spider-Man is the chosen one of the multiverse, that he's the greatest hero of them all. I love
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I love that because I've always felt like Peter Parker is the greatest hero in the Marvel universe, except until Miles came along. But bro, I feel like people are gonna hate me because I'm such a Miles fanboy. But
does that back up the theories or the news that we heard a couple months back, which we covered on the podcast, that Tom Holland is going to be the lead in Avengers 5?
Yes. Yeah.
That's cool.
And bro, outside of the Spider-Man films and the Spider-Man brand, I do not care about Marvel. I do not care.
Same. I used to be such a big fan, but yeah, Spider-Man's the only thing keeping me interested now.
I would say Spider-Man, Black Panther, and then I would say I mean, Loki doesn't really count, because I guess if you want to put Loki in there, but then Blade. I love the character of Blade, and the reports of Blade is that Blade sucks. And that's why Mahershala Ali nearly left the project.
Nearly left, yeah.
So here's a question for you, because the Marvel, cinematic universe has been failing, and the latest reports have been talking about how Jonathan Majors might not be a factor of the Marvel universe going forward because they were afraid of the box office bomb, which, yeah, like, screw Jonathan Majors because of what he did, obviously. And I know there's like conflicting reports. Oh, she beat him, whatever. You watch the video, you watch the testimony, you have a grown man who's 6+ beefed like John Cena hitting a woman. Like, I'm sorry, there's no excuse for that. So I have no problem with him being gone. My problem is them being disconnected as to why. They feel that Kang isn't a good character. No, he's a good character. It's the story around him sucks.
Yeah.
And there's no plan. Like, bro, ever since Endgame, what's been the plan? The plan should have been mutants. The plan should have been Magneto. The plan should have been Doom. That's what should have.
Do you want to hear a mental statistic? Like a mental statistic that makes you question the tactics of the MCU?
Sure.
There has been more hours of content since Endgame than everything pre-Endgame combined.
No way.
If you count in the shows, there's more hours of content since Endgame than before Endgame combined.
I can't remember anything memorable outside of Shang-Chi and No Way Home. Well, no, Loki and Falcon and the Winter Soldier. And the production of Moon Knight was legitimately awesome. The production, it was phenomenal. Soundtrack, it was phenomenal.
See, stuff like Moon Knight, Shang-Chi, were great because it wasn't the typical Marvel formula.
Yeah. I mean, well, I would.
It tried to do. Moon Knight maybe wasn't an amazing success, but I enjoyed it more than a lot of the other Marvel shows
Yes.
because it was just different.
Yes. Yeah.
It was just didn't follow the MCU formula.
Yeah, I agree. And it's comedy needs to die. Like, that sounds so dark. But in the MCU, comedy needs to die because they're not even good at comedy. They're not even good. Bro, if they had like a quality, like, bro, you go to so many comedy clubs. Any one of those comedians could write a better comedy scene than a lot of what we're seeing in the MCU because it is organic. There's a punchline that you laugh out of incredulity. You know what I mean? The MCU is...
Yeah, all the jokes are so forced. Like, none of it sounds natural or organic whatsoever.
Like an Ant-Man Quantumania. It's never too late to not be a dick. What the hell? What the hell is this? What the hell is this? Like, come on.
Mm-hmm.
Like, what the hell is this? Like, and I'm not being uppity, but I'm just saying, like, you watch the Batman. The Batman had better comedy than the MCU because it was organic.
And that was a dark film as well.
Yeah, like, and they didn't overforce it, right? Like when Batman and Gordon leave Penguin and Penguin's waddling, he's like, "What about me?" Batman would do that. He would do that. Like, it's funny, you know? Or when Batman's like, "Look at me." And like Selena's like, "Ooh, are we having a romantic moment?" And meanwhile he's just checking if her contacts are working. like the comedy in that is so funny versus in the MCU. Did you really do that? Well, that just happened. No way, he really did that. Does anybody else have powers like that? Oh my God, I can't believe that. That character did this. I had childhood trauma. It sucks. It's so bad. Shout out to Wakanda Forever for being the only latest Marvel property that didn't have cringy humor. Wakanda Forever is the only one, including No Way Home. The first half of No Way Home, I'm not gonna lie, it definitely had those stupid ass comedic timing. But the second half of No Way Home was excellent, so I forgave it. But yeah, and then Awkwafina's character in Shang-Chi, again, similar comedic stuff. Moon Knight, similar comedic stuff. I don't get Miss Marvel. The whole clandestine's death was comedic on its own. Like, you know, like, it was like, I'm just not excited about the MCU going forward because it's like eating chips. At some point, you get sick of it.
Yeah.
I don't know, but before we go,
it's become stale.
Yeah, but before we go, like, we can ask this to the audience, and you guys feel free to tap in. But Ollie, let me ask you this, and then we can head out.
Yeah.
How do you fix the MCU? Because my hot take, I'm gonna pull an Arsenal fan TV here. Feige out.
I agree.
Feige has to go. Feige out.
I think the way to go for me is, with all the multiverse stuff, just go into telling, like, loads of, like, don't go away from the cinematic universe format, I think, and just have loads of superhero stories, and maybe occasionally they'll come together in a multiverse story. But say we've got all these different universes, they're all connected through the multiverse, but there's this version and then there's this version, but just I'd say just end the MCU in a way by ending the continuity of the cinematic universe. Just have all these things happen that maybe take place in the same universe, but the whole linear MCU, I'd end that.
And I think what I would also end, we got to bring secret identities back, bro. We got to bring street level stories back.
When I was a kid and I was Spider-Man was like the first superhero I was introduced to, and then I watched, I thought Secret Identity. Oh, that's pretty cool. That's such an interesting aspect to being a superhero. And then I watched, even though the I Am Iron Man moment, amazing, one of the best moments in any comic book medium. When I was a kid, I was dead confused by that. I was like, shouldn't you be keeping that a secret?
Yeah. And the thing with the secret identity thing is it works for Iron Man. Tony Stark would do that. He would.
Mhm.
Spider-Man would not. And that's why I love No Way Home, because it showed that no, he needs his secret identity. He needs that. Like, that's who he is. So yeah, but I think Feige has to go, bro. I think he had his time, he had his run. But you know it's a problem when the latest reports that the people who are headlining the Avengers aren't even MCU characters. It's Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man and Hugh Jackman's Wolverine going to be the leaders. Then why have an MCU? Why?
Yeah. It's like WWE mid 2010s. They've resorted to like Goldberg and Undertaker.
Yeah, like the Saudi shows, the super
Yeah.
shows, bro. Shawn Michaels and Undertaker one last time. Again. Goldberg versus Triple H one last time. Again. Like it's bro, like it's I don't know, man. Like I love Kevin Feige. He did a fantastic job, but it's time to go. I need new blood.
It's time to go.
It's time to go. Shut up, Claude. It's time to go, bro. Like I want new blood. I want new excitement about, you know, the MCU. And I'm sick to death of this stupid comedy. Which is why I love Spider-Man 2, because it was so dark, and when the comedy landed, it was legitimately funny. So yeah. This probably isn't going to be the last time we're going to talk about Spider-Man 2, but
yeah, we'll have more, especially if there's DLC. Yeah. We'll have more.
But next week, tune in, because we're going to be talking about Invincible season 2. So
yes,
yeah, very very.
Should we record after next Friday? So then we've got 2 episodes to talk about.
Yes, let's do that. Yeah, okay. Let's do that.
Yeah, that sounds good to me.
But
well, tune in for that. You know, Zan has now finished reading the Invincible comics.
Yeah, I finished so all, yeah.
We can go in and talk about it in full detail, like we've.
I love it.
Like, you know,
I love it. It's the greatest comic book run. Like perfection. It's cinema. Bro. But with that.
And by the time Invincible is over, do you agree with me? By the time the Invincible TV series is over, it might be like the best bit of visual TV or film, comic book media ever.
Depends on the animation, but I would tend to yes. The fights, whenever that Conquest versus Mark fight happens, that has to be the hardest thing we watch. I don't want to see MCU action. The MCU action sucks. But
the fight I can't wait to see in the show, which I can't really talk about in full detail because Nicole, my I don't think I've actually mentioned this on the podcast, but my fiance, no longer my girlfriend, my fiance is in the background.
I think you have, but
she hasn't read the comic yet. Okay. But so
yeah, don't.
I'll whisper this. When Mark fights Thrag in the sun.
And the inner dialogue, bro. And that when he's like saying, like, you know, we can be so much better. You've held us back. We can be a force for good. We can be a force for change.
What a moment.
So good. So good. It really choked up my throat, and it sure did to Thrag as well. But with that, guys, thank you for tuning in to another episode of the Invincibles podcast. Again, while we tune out,
it's been fun.
Yeah, absolutely, bro. We will have an episode next week. We didn't have one for like 2-3 weeks. That's on me. Getting the new kitten and
it's been busy. I've had some stuff to deal with as well. But, so yes, yeah.
But we will be. I'm pretty soon. We will be doing those Star Wars live streams on PlayStation. So stay tuned. We will be having another episode next week and about Invincible, and most importantly, I will try to be more active on our social medias and on our TikToks and everything as well, so you can swipe up and tap in and let's have a conversation about anything nerdy, you know, like we really loved the Harry Potter episode and how many people tapped into that, so that was awesome. But again, we do ask for a ceasefire in Israel and Palestine right now. We don't want to see any Palestinian kids continue to be bombed nonstop, and that goes without saying. Obviously, we don't want any Israeli kids to be bombed either. But just because we want peace in the Middle East does not mean we're anti-Semitic, and to say that makes Jews look really bad. There's so many good Jews who are being labeled under the Zionist flag because Zionists want to eliminate everybody, and it reminds me of when Al Qaeda was doing all that stuff and all Muslims look bad, you know. So, yeah, we call for ceasefire, free Palestine, and yeah, Spider-Man 2 was the greatest superhero story ever told.
Yeah.
Take care, guys.